Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Spiritual View. I'm Ceree, and I'm one of Soulful Revolution certified readers, and I'm here with a wonderful crew of colleagues and friends, and we're going to all introduce ourselves. And I started with me, but let's do our introductions to our readers for our May reading.
Hello, I'm Dawn. I am with Astrology and Tarot Alchemy. It's a pleasure to be here this evening.
Hi, I am Angie with Learn Love Tarot. Hi, guys. Welcome in.
Hi, everybody. Elizabeth, True to It Connections.
Hi guys, I'm Jenn with the Awakened Jenn Tarot.
And it's Marsha at Salty Mama Soul Tribe. Hi, everybody.
Welcome, everyone, and we're so grateful that you're joining us today for our May reading. And we do this reading once a month on the third Friday of each month. And we have a wonderful lineup for you today. And we're going to start with a channeled message from Jenn, which we do every session with you. Then we're going to have the May astrology update from Dawn. And Dawn's headline and theme, and I'm not going to steal her thunder, but it's about big dreams. There's a lot of big energy this month. We've been talking a lot about May and some of the things that are going on now, and will continue through the end of the month. So we're really excited to have Dawn lead us through that conversation. Then Angie's going to take us through some tarot, and we're going to talk about the Fool's Journey. That's a headline for today, where we'll talk about the meaning of the Fool card, and we're going to share some stories from some of our readers with respect to their own Fool's Journey in their spiritual quest. So we're delighted that you're here. And we are giving you a little bit of a teaser. So we have a giveaway at the end. So we'd love you to stay around. We'll try to keep this to about an hour. And again, it's a wonderful lineup of wonderful ladies, insightful information and learning for all of us. And I would say that we're all learning as we go along, and we want you to be along the journey with us. We would also like to say that if you want to like, subscribe, and share, you can hit the buttons at the bottom, and please leave your comments. So we want you to give us your comments, your feedback, your thoughts, and it's important as we will be drawing from those who have commented and those who have subscribed to the channel. So with that, we're going to get started. And I'm going to turn this over to Jenn, who's going to start us with a beautiful channel message today. Over to you, Jenn.
All right, thank you, Ceree. Let's see. So I have prepared a channeled message for us today from Archangel Michael. So I asked, what does Archangel Michael want us to know about the Fool's Journey? Trust. Do you trust me? Those were the words Jesus used before coaxing Peter onto the water. His faith carried him for those few moments until his logic brain kicked in and questioned what was truly possible and resorted to the old belief systems that had already failed him. In this sense, what then is there to lose, to trust? Has not trusting been working for you? Are you where you want to be in life? Is it a time for you to start your own fool's journey? The fool's journey is only considered foolish to those limited by fear and unbelief. Most on this journey have seen multitudes of miracles that present as truth that you can trust, that you will be supported as long as you stay aligned to what your soul is truly calling you to do in this lifetime. So I'll turn it over to Dawn.
All right, thank you very much. And this is about dreaming big. And what I want to say is that Jenn and I did a video together, and it was on last Friday. So there will be a card either here or here for you to be able to go and review that, because I'm going to take it from the 18th going forward. And what let me do is just share my screen. Oh, it's not coming up. Okay, now I can try it again. Here we go. There we are. It's not my one. I wanted this one. You don't know how impressed you should be right now that I've actually got this on screen. So just so you know. Okay, so what I wanted to say is on the 18th, the first thing is that this 23 and 23 degrees here that we have of the Venus-Uranus conjunction, that is also the degree that Ceres, Ceres, was discovered at. So if you have any connection, and she would be the goddess, I would call her Mother Nature. She was Persephone's mother. She's the one that went in search of Persephone. She's the reason through history that we look at the seasons breaking down as to winter is because she's missing her daughter, and spring is when her daughter returns to her. So that is the basic story and mythology of, she's also known as Demeter, Ceres. It's the same story either way. So if you have any connection to that particular planet, is, I think she's considered a mini planet, then I would pay close attention to this degree, because that is the exact degree. Now, the other thing I want to point out for everyone is that we are going to be having big dreams because of, let me change this to days, because Neptune is now at 29 degrees. And that is the very last degree of Pisces. And that's the very last degree, not only of Pisces, but of the entire zodiac. Neptune is also a co-ruler of Pisces. So it has that extra bit of strength there, and it will be at that degree until September. Now, we have a lot of planets that are going to be making aspects to that particular degree. So let me just kind of move forward. There's 3 right away. The first one would be Mercury. So let's go ahead and move forward. You can see through here, Mercury is right here. So Mercury actually makes that degree on the 19th of May. And it's in a sextile. So all of these things that are going to be in sextile with, go back, with Neptune are the energy of assistance, of friendliness. So that's how I would look at it, that this is going to be assisting with your dreams. It's going to be helping you put them into action, because these are personal planets that are going to be moving. It's going to be Mercury. It's also going to be Venus. The sun will also be in through that sextile at that 29 degree. So it's very interesting that we can utilize that energy of Neptune for all of this manifestation energy that we've been initiating since, I believe, way back on April 8th, when we had the Uranus, not the Uranus, the April 8th was the Aries eclipse, and then everything else that occurred thereafter. We are going to have Uranus going to be reactivated when we have some future aspects coming up. But what I really want to just basically say at this time is that we do have a lot of energy still that is going to be reigniting our manifestations that we made on the Taurus moon or anything before that, because it just keeps reigniting all that same energy over and over again. So it's kind of like a boost to whatever your manifestation was. And it is that as we were talking about the Fool's Journey, I think that is what Neptune is allowing us to do, is we're taking that dream of whatever we might have wanted, and we're going to be using that as part of our Fool's Journey and taking us to a place that we've never been before, and having a little guide map. You have Mercury there, you have Venus there, and I think that you can utilize all those things into creating your reality at a much higher timeline. I think all of us are looking at the astrology and knowing that later on in the fall, when we have Pluto going back into Capricorn, that there's going to be rough times for collective as they learn their lesson. But I think of those of us who are on that higher timeline, our personal charts are going to be a little bit different and a little bit above that fray, because we shouldn't be living in an energy of fear. We should be living in an energy of hope and dream for all of this future summer energy that we're having. It's just magnificent, the astrology that's going to be taking place. So I do want to say that I will be doing a special video just specifically for the Venus star point, and that is going to be on June 4th. So I will do that before we have our next spiritual view gathering, because I think it's important, and there's enough information on just that one thing alone as Venus enters Gemini and we get a more flirtatious Venus. We have the sun coming in, we have Jupiter is going to be entering in as well. So that's going to give us energy, and everything as it comes into Gemini is going to be trining Pluto. So anything that has air signs, the very beginning degrees are going to be in a trine with Pluto and Jupiter. Very transformative energy, very let's make dreams come true kind of energy. So utilize these sextiles that are happening, and let me give you the dates of those. So on May 19th, it's the sun at 29:26 sextile. It's a sextile. Venus on the May 23rd, it's a sextile. That's okay. So also on that day, May 23rd, we have Venus conjunct Jupiter. We also have Venus sextile Neptune, and we also have Jupiter sextile Neptune. So all of them together are shaking hands. Jupiter and Venus will be in a conjunction, sextiling Neptune, and we'll get the energy of that a few days beforehand. So that is huge energy for everyone to utilize. So I will open it up for any questions that anybody might have regarding this, because I want people to keep the idea of using this to manifest their dreams. Go ahead.
I've got a question, and I just maybe how that kind of funnels into, 2 days later, we have the Sagittarius full moon.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think we just get another positive boost to just keep. Is that how you see it also?
Yes, that is definitely the Sagittarius full moon is really, really beautiful. I'm going to skip to my page since you asked me that question.
Yeah, it's like a whole week long of
Yes.
like just constant fanning of the flames. Like I feel like for me, I plan on actually revisiting the altar space, maybe making some offerings to those planets.
And I think that's a great idea. I mean, we have all of this energy, and it's Sagittarius. Yes, it's an exceptional time because it's also utilizing that 29-degree Neptune in a trine again with it's actually still in a trine with the moon at that point. So you have the sextiles and the trines, and then there's also nice energy of the sun and Saturn. So that's longevity of that full moon. So there's all this extra energy and extra oomph. Saturn, I know sometimes can be a problem, but the beautiful thing about Saturn is you want it to show up when you're talking about relationships, because it shows that there's longevity in the relationship. That's one of the things, and it'll help you work and make things last. It's there for the long term. So that was one of the things that we had talked about with the Mars Saturn conjunction, being that 2.5 year doing something every day kind of energy, because Mars gives you the energy and Saturn gives you a little step at a time. I'll do it every day for the long term, right? So again, this energy keeps, and it just keeps reinventing itself and keeps pushing us forward. And it's going to do that well through the end of June, because we have different things that come up in the astrology that help people in their charts. And because you have Taurus and Gemini energy right together, it's going to affect something in your chart in a positive way eventually, right? So I think that's something that you need to look at, is take a look at where your personal planets are and see what is being, especially conjunctions, and anything that's a square or an opposition, because that is going to have energy to it. It will require you to do something, but it'll be worth it, because all of this energy is very, very positive. Yeah, Ceree.
Okay, when I first started learning astrology, the woman that I was working with, I would say after she would say exactly what you just said, I'd say, "Can you speak of the English?" Or for those of us who don't know everything. My question is, for those who are not as familiar with some of the terminology, if you just step back and said, how is this going to manifest in how we feel the energy? And also the energy around us, because oftentimes with these huge shifts, especially around the new moon and the full moon, sometimes these waves of energy just come and hit us, or we have these swings in our own emotions and our own feelings. So what, as we look at the month of May for the rest of the month going into June, what should people expect that they might feel in their energy, but also in the external environment around them? Because I find when I anticipate, I'm much more able to navigate the highs and the lows, or the highs and the highs. And it always helps me when I can think about it and feel it, and just kind of get ahead of it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. And oh, quit doing that. All right. It just went crazy on me. What I want to say is the things that I would advise people to go back to this. Okay. Take it to a month. One of the things that I noted was if you are at all concerned about maybe the not greatest energy, that would be due to Mars. Mars is going to be, it's currently going through Aries. It's currently going to be meeting up with everything that we've been facing in the past, including the degree of the 1924 Aries solar eclipse in the United States. And it's going to take a look at, okay, there we go. So let me see where Aries is here. Okay, redefining where I'm at. So that Aries energy of Mars being there and going through all those degrees, of course, it will have hit Saturn. It will also have hit the Chiron. So that is going to be a trigger for people. When Mars hits Chiron, to me, that's a trigger that old wounds could easily come up because you have to clean them out in order to get that healing from them, right? So you have those different points that Mars is going to be hitting during this time. And let me see if I've got the Mars actually goes, I think it's still in Aries for quite a while. I'm trying to see if I can see when it leaves. Yeah, Mars on the 19th is doing an exact conjunction with the North Node. So it's where we're going to be going, but I still think that is part of that energy of healing and ourselves and getting away from bad relationships.
I have a quick question, Dawn.
Yeah.
On the 21st, I have Sun in Gemini, half square Mars, anger issues. Thoughts?
Yes. What I do is you have to take a look at where you are on your timeline, because anytime I look at somebody's chart, I look at all that's in their chart, and then I talk to the person to find out how things correlate. So I would say, yes, those could be anger issues, but it depends upon what houses they are for you. You know, what is going to be your trigger and where's that trigger going to be? But usually anything with Mars, and especially if you were born during the day, that's going to be a more malefic planet for you. So anything that is a square or a semi-square, anything like that, even if it's a semi-sextile, which is just 30 degrees apart, that is the same energy, I would say, as almost like an opposition field. Yeah. So any other things that you want to ask or look at this time? I think the main point is that we can utilize this energy. We're still going to get maybe triggered from past situations that we are being brought up to heal. And that is going to help with our manifestation, because this energy is going to keep continuing and giving us more and more opportunity to manifest those dreams. And a lot of these are, we've left these old relationships, then we've taken a breath, And now we're going to be going into something new, whether we find our tribe, find a new soulmate, or find ourselves. Okay, so I think we will be turning this over to Angi. So Angi, I will unshare my screen if I can figure out how to do that. Just a second. And stop share. Okay.
Awesome. I think you said May 21st, right, Liz? With the anger issues, and I was looking at my calendar that have with the numerology piece of it. That is a Tower and Chariot day. So that makes sense, right? And it's if you're born that day or any day that adds up and comes out to a 7, when you continue to reduce the numbers, that is the path of change. So I think you're right in that if we know what to expect, it never feels as bad when we know what's coming, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about the Fool card tonight and the Fool's journey. And that does hit my heart space because it has a lot to do with literature. Everything you've ever read follows the Fool's journey / hero's journey. Aesop fables, you know, the stories in the Bible, literally any story, right? So there is the fool that is there to learn something. What is the theme? What is that character learning? And we go through that in our lives from birth to death. That's one fool's / hero's journey. And then if we want to pull up the slides here, it's not a linear journey, right? So people, when you're writing a book or when you're reading a book, it follows a certain pattern. And the Fool's journey is that's where it's different than when you look at a plot diagram. So if it was a linear journey, we would just follow the major arcana around from the Fool, you know, and take those steps like if we were looking at a timeline. That is not how the Fool's journey happens. It's not so neat and put together by a writer that has a lesson in mind already. We don't know what lesson we're learning yet. So if we go to the next slide, every time, if you want to think about it as a circular journey, so around that center circle of the Fool, at the 0 card, we go all the way around to the World card, which is the successful completion of a journey. So from birth 0 to death would be, again, our circular timeline. That would just be the passing of time. But then within that passing of time, we go through all these little mini journeys. And literally every decision that we make takes us on to a different timeline. And that can shoot us anywhere around that circle of the Fool's journey. And when we look at the next slide, there is here is what happens when we start any of those Fool's journey, when we make any of those decisions. So what the Fool teaches us as we get older is to assess risk, okay? But the Fool's journey is different. If you think about the decisions that you made, maybe snap judgments when you're 18 to when you are 38, 48, 58, 68 are going to be much different than when you are on a Fool's journey at 18. So the card, just to give everybody a perspective, if you're not familiar with that, if you see that appear in a reading, that would indicate an important choice or decision is coming up. Okay, depending on where it falls in the reading can tell you where you're about to take that leap, because every card would have a different version of past, present, or future energy. It changes up the context just a little smidge. Also, depending on what cards are around it, if they're in their shadow or their light, that can also tell you whether this Fool's journey is going to be foolish, or if it's of pure intention, you feel it in your heart and you take that leap. Those are going to be different. about the Fool, it's just that willingness to just take that risk and go for it. It always indicates you're about to expand in some sort of way. You are increasing, or you are leveling up on the hierarchy of your subconscious, of your own spiritual journey. There's always a new chapter to turn the page on. There's always a new cycle to start. Sometimes I know that everybody has probably had that experience. If you're around my age, we tend to repeat cycles on that Fool's journey. And you kind of go to yourself, I think I've been there, done that before. But some of us learn the first time around that cycle, and some of us take a few tries around the same cycle, depending on our stubbornness level. Some of us just like to learn things all over again many times, and that's okay. What the Fool card does indicate, and what I find in readings for people, is that they're all excited about the start of something new. But what we have to realize when that card comes up is that that means that there has to be an ending of an old. There has to be space created in order for the universe to bring in that new energy, right? We can't kind of double dip. I mean, we can, but then we're going to be creating karma. And that might not be to our best advantage later on, because then we create obstacles along the way when there didn't have to be any. And then as well, when we do see the Fool card, the energy of that is of optimism. There's an adventure about to happen. There's a carefreeness, a lack of, I don't have anything in my way that's going to start me on this, that's going to block me from this new start. It's if you're looking at yes or no, or maybe, it is a yes card if it is in the upright. It can be trying to find a new way to do something, especially if you're seeing it with the 9 of Wands, which can be that recreating the same cycles, and be an indication of, I'm trying to get a different outcome from the same exact pattern. Then if you see the Fool, that can be an indication that you're done with that pattern. You recognize that you're doing that, and finally you're ready to step out of that old pattern and consider a new way. It's also the energy of Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius and the 11th house of community, friends, and good fortune. And Uranus is about, I always think of it as surprise, the doorbell rings and you don't know who in the heck is at the door. Well, not everybody is welcoming to guests. They want you to call ahead of time. Some people don't like surprises. Sometimes it can be the surprise is a shock, right? So it's not, people think of the connotation of the word surprise as positive. It's not always. It depends on what energies are affecting it, what house it's in, / what life area that's happening for you in. So the Fool tells us the best advice when we see that come out as an outcome energy or as an opportunity energy, depending on where that is in the spread for you, is that the best outcome is to not be scared of change. Expect the best possible outcome, because the universe is always working out for us. It has our back. Our angels have our back. If we approach it with optimism and careful consideration, and as we mature, we're taking calculated risks, not just, okay, let's go do it without thought, like maybe when we were, a teenager. On the next slide, here are some symbols. So if you'd like to screenshot that, just if you're learning tarot, or if you look for patterns. I know that I'm a numbers person and I look for symbols and signs. So in this particular card, the traditional Rider-Waite version of the Fool, we see that the white sun is spiritual enlightenment. It's an opening of the crown chakra. And also it's associated for me with the Ace of Swords as that aha moment and I get it. I see that I was doing that pattern, 21 world, I end that cycle, and now I'm ready to step on to that cliff edge of stepping into the unknown to do something that I haven't done before and to do something new to create change. The white flower that he holds in his hand is a purity of purpose, because remember, it is the 0 card. That is the birth card. That is, I know nothing about what I'm about to step into here. On his cloak, you can see that there are the sun and the moon symbols, and that is the alchemical. It reminds me of the temperance card of alchemy, and also, depending on the deck, 2 of pentacles of should I stay, should I go, making that decision and coming somewhere in between that figure 8 symbol. There are 12 discs on his cloak, which signify the 12 signs of the zodiac. And also, as he's looking up, right, that is wonderment. That is that new energy of, I'm just going to go for it. Okay. And then the dog is a grounding instinct, right? Because even when we're in our biggest tumultuous fill in the blank, our pets, our children remind us that, hey, there's still life here to live. We've got to feed the dog. We've got responsibilities. It helps us on our journey stay with where we're at. Now, the cliff's edge, we talked about that there. And then there was one other, the bag. The bag, his knapsack, is very significant because that is our past life experiences. And as we get older, of course, we have gained knowledge and have little tools in our bag along the way to help us. So if you look at that red bubble, that is actually a tapestry that you can buy there that I saw that I thought was really cool. But it is not, again, a linear journey. You can take the Fool's Journey, but you can hop from card to card. You can hop across the street. You can move from 0 to 7 o'clock, back to 2 o'clock. Life is just not a clear-cut journey in that way. So the Rider-Waite, that reminds me of, we're all going to be sharing stories of our favorite Fool card. And this Fool reminds me of, I up and moved to New Zealand when I was 18 years old. I met somebody from New Zealand, and we became pen pals, and it was $1 a minute to talk on the phone. Yes, it was hanging on the wall back then. But he said, you want to come to New Zealand? I was like, yep. And so I did. And we ended up getting married, and it wasn't anything I thought about. I just went and go. I went up to the edge of that cliff, and I was like, not only are you super cute, but your accent, you had me at g'day. So that's kind of that 18-year-old energy of the Fool to me. And on the next slide, I'm going to let Jen go ahead and take over and share her favorite card from the Light Seers Tarot.
Great job, Angie. You did wonderful explaining that. So my favorite Fool card comes from the Light Seers Tarot, and it's because of the trust, just that complete trust fall. And the connection that I have to it, my Fool's journey, started in 2014. And it's something that has just been on my mind a lot lately, because I just feel like it's just like this culmination happening this year, this 10-year culmination that's happening for me. So in 2014, God woke me up in the middle of the night and told me that my life was about to change in a really big way. And he did not give me any of the details. It was just, it's changing. It's going to be good. And I got that it was going to happen. I got the number 40. And so I kind of connected to, it was going to happen around the time that I turned 40, which was in March of 2020. So I turned 40, and literally a week later, the whole world shuts down. And I got from that too that the 40 was a time of preparation, and so I knew that, like, I was about to be prepared, for my mission. but I wasn't given the details. I just had to trust, that God was going to give me what I needed every step of the way. And if I had seen the full picture of where it was heading, I promise you I wouldn't have taken this path. I wouldn't have seen that I would have even been able to do the things that I have been called to do, since then. Like, literally, like within that same year, within just a few months, my husband did the thing that ended our marriage. And within 3 months of that, I had a massive bilateral pulmonary embolism that caused me to completely stop breathing for an unknown amount of time. That caused hypoxic brain injury that was right near my pineal gland, which is what causes the spiritual awakening. So, like, I see all the connections that were happening just all through that. I would not have left my marriage had he not done the thing that he did. I know that for a fact. Like, all of these things had to be set into place to kind of push me into this purpose. And like I said, if I had been given that full information right at the beginning, I wouldn't have felt confident enough to take the journey. So I just literally had to trust God that he had me, through this whole process. And I mean, he has brought me to just amazing places, and he has brought the most amazing people into my lives. And I'm incredibly thankful. And I know that this works. So I'm going to pass it on. I don't remember who was going next. Marsha?
Yep. Hey, everybody. Okay, so my favorite tarot card for the Fool comes from the Wildwood Tarot, and it's actually called the Wanderer. And this was not the card I drew with regard to the story I'm going to tell. But what I love about this one is if you can really look into the card back in the forest, there's a face back there almost inviting you to cross that rainbow bridge. But you have to just be like, oh my gosh, is that an illusion? Do I see that bridge? Is it really there? My original spiritual journey began probably in earnest back in 97 when my roommate gave me this book, Louisa Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. I had gotten a blood clot in my left leg, and within a matter of about 3 hours, that leg just went whoosh. And I was young and dumb and not insured and had no idea about anything medical. And he came to me with this book, and we literally did the affirmations, and within 24 hours, it was resolved. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, the story I'd like to really tell that is when I rejected the Fool's Journey. I was, had lived many lifetimes on and off the spiritual path many times. But this instance, I found myself divorced for a second time and had taken some time off. I was about 40 years old, and I thought, well, I knew I was meant to be a parent. I just knew it in my heart, but I'm 40. And I had, over the course of the 10 years previous to that, I had 7 miscarriages. And the doctors basically just, it wasn't going to happen. And I'm not going to get all into the sad part of that. But so I had just resolved that it wasn't going to be in this lifetime. So a friend of mine had invited me to join a local Elks Lodge, and I said, hell to the no. But she coaxed me and convinced me that it would be a place that she and I could just meet and hang out. I'm not much of a drinker, but just socialize with her in a safe place. And I was like, okay. And I got there, and they had this volunteer sign-up sheet to volunteer in this commercial kitchen to cook meals for veterans. I had previously trained as a chef and had missed my chefing days. So I immediately signed up. And the first night I volunteered, this little Lebanese man was just running around the kitchen. We cooked the meal. It's very hot and busy. The crew is done. We're sitting out back afterwards, and Spirit has always talked to me in song. And I hear this song in my head. That's Carly Simon, that beautiful voice. And the lyrics were saying, It seems we stood and talked like this before, but I can't remember where or when. And I was like, excuse me, that guy? He was literally like 5 foot tall. I mean, I had previously dated, just picture like a bodybuilder, motorcycle riding kind of person. So this was not my kind of guy. And that was on August 29th of 2011. And he pursued me for a little while. I just kind of ignored it. But don't get me wrong, I looked that song up and I read every word of that song going, and I knew in an instant that I knew this man in another lifetime. And I didn't know where or when, but I just was not hearing spirit on this. This was not going to be my guy. And I wasn't really looking. So anyway, fast forward, he wore me down. We'd cooked a couple meals together, very charming. We had a lot of chemistry. I decided I'd go out on a date with him. And we get to the restaurant and we are sitting down, and within 5 minutes, I hear spirit say, you're going to have a baby with this man. And I'm a Sag and Aquarius, and I just have a lot of kind of outward energy. And I remember just leaning forward on the table the minute I got the message, and I said, you're not going to believe this, but we're going to move in together and get married and have a baby. And he said, well, I sure am glad you said that, because if I'd said that, you'd have hightailed it out of here. So fast forward, he was 41. I was 41 at the time, and he was 57. Neither one of us had kids. We now have a 12-year-old baby boy, and he's not a baby anymore, of course. But the only other thing I'll say about that is, it really was a leap of faith for me to try love again. I just didn't have it in my heart. I was worn out, but the spirit knew how much I wanted that baby. And I don't know how to say it any other way, but I knew the moment I got pregnant, because I heard the Bible verse, 1 Samuel, for this child I have prayed. And my son's name is Samuel. So spirit brought it around in a very I get these just drop in my head, like this is the way to do it. I know it instantly. And I think when you are focused on finding your purpose and finding your joy, spirit will drop into you like that. And you do have that sense of knowing. Like I said, when the first message came to me, I just said, absolutely not. I am done dealing. Can I go on for just one more minute? I want to touch on something that Angi said, and that is, the fool's journey, the hero's journey is every great story we have ever read in literature. And I was first fascinated with King Arthur and Excalibur as a child, and all of those fantasy stories. And later on in life, it was Chronicles of Narnia. And I read that to my son in the womb because I just love those expansive kind of stories. Later on, it was Lord of the Rings and things like that. But this year for Mother's Day. So anyway, my son knows how much I just love these kind of hero's journey stories. And he loves Funko Pops, this mainstream collectible thing. And we were out shopping one day, and we saw some Funko Pops from a series called Sword in the Stone. And I had said, well, that would be really cool if they had one where King Arthur's, pulling the sword out of the stone. And so this year for Mother's Day, he actually got me. It's the King Arthur Funko Pop pulling that Ace of Swords right out of the stone. So believe me when I tell you, it comes full circle in the most amazing, fun ways. But don't be afraid to take that leap of faith.
I'm so touched. That was beautiful. Thank you, Marsha. I am next, right, you guys? Hey, it's Elizabeth. So this is my favorite card, the Gazelle, the Traveler from Spirit Song Tarot. I chose this, you guys, because there's a bit of a tradition in tarot to be given your first deck. And okay, so let's go there. This was given to me. This is where I started my fool's journey here. And really, when I was 3, I had a near-death experience. Much like Jen, we're all very much in sync, which is so beautiful, you guys. But much like Jen, and Marsha, probably all of us, I had major health issues. 2014, 2015, like right on the cusp there. And going through a double mastectomy, I got a really bad infection. I had been in a hyperbaric chamber, and I ended up in the hospital going through another surgery. And during that, I wasn't waking up, I wasn't breathing, kind of like Jen. And I've had many out-of-body experiences. I like to call them travel dreams, and just all this weird stuff about me. I could go on forever, but I didn't really know it was my spiritual path. Okay, so, and why I didn't realize it, I think, is because I would allow blocks along my way, whether it was people in my life, religion, whatever, just obstacles. I would be thinking, okay, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. And it's very cyclical, like they've been telling you, and it just keeps coming back around that this is the path you need to be on. And honestly, that near-death experience really woke me up to the fact that I leave my body and I channel things, and and I just didn't know the languages, which one of you mentioned earlier. I knew this stuff. We all do. We all have these abilities. We just have to learn to raise that vibration and learn the languages. So fast forward a little bit to 2016, a lot of the people in my life that mattered so much, and they're still with me, but they crossed over, and with them, they took a lot of the barriers to me doing this. But it took a lot of healing to get through that. Then I would say in 2020, I wanted to go back and tackle what I'd always been doing in journalism. And that became difficult. I'll just say 2020. So I quit. I just, I feel like that was a big fool's journey for me. Of, you really have to learn the lessons, or you're going to keep repeating this. It's just that essence of the zero. Oh my goodness. It can be good, or it can keep you stuck in a pattern. And that is part of the lesson of the gazelle, is learning to have a little caution before you leap, a little wisdom that comes, as Angi said, as we grow through these cycles. So I quit journalism in 2020, and one thing led to another. A lot of things ended, like they're saying, and very important relationships again ended, including about a 50-year friendship with someone that gave me this deck. And that's a whole nother story. But there I sat with knowing what I wanted to do, and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know the languages. And she said, here's a deck, go watch stuff on YouTube. And that's what I did. And one thing went to another, and another, and another. And here I am with my tribe, and we are so connected, and we're from all different backgrounds, places, stories, but here we are on this journey together, and I'm all tingly about it. It's so cool. So I hope that made sense. And I really have found a lot of healing in everything I've been through on this journey, and the endings were rough, but these new beginnings are just really something else, just amazing. So I encourage everybody to come on this fool's journey with us. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna finish us out here, and as everybody was speaking, I was noticing in the car, like nothing's an accident. If you notice there that Jen and I's cards that are bookending each other are both the Fool. And then Marsha, I hadn't even seen the rainbow until right before she mentioned it. And it's the Wanderer. I wander. Why? Right? You have to have that curiosity that helps you let go of the picture that we see in the card that Jen was talking about. You just have to let go of that rope and trust. And underneath her is the Merkaba. And that is the first time that Jen and I pulled the same cards, two different, states apart. And when we all got together as a group, I was just flipping out like, oh my gosh, we're pulling the same energies here. And that I had just gotten a gift from a friend, and I wondered what it was, and it's a little symbol of where she's dropping into. And that's that Merkaba of energy. She's holding on to amethyst, which knights used to wear under their armor to protect them from death. She lets go. She trusts. And then you wander a little bit, right? And it was 2020 when I had my dark night of the soul, and you are wandering. And I didn't know I was sick from teaching 70 hours a week. And I had gotten so stressed and drained that I completely drained my adrenals. I mean, I got very, very sick, and I didn't even know it until the world was put on pause. And then we all had the chance to wander. And then we move over into Liz's card, where that wanderer has now matured into the traveler. And when I was talking earlier about the Two of Pentacles and the light seers with the sun and the moon back and forth in the lemonscape, when she was talking, I was like, oh my gosh, those two cards then together. I picked up my deck and literally on the bottom of the deck right there was the card that I was exactly talking about. And as that gazelle matures to the traveler and takes that leap, there are also those little swirls down the bottom of that card, which is the Nautilus, the symbol of the Nautilus, the symbol of archaic times, the last known fossils, the connection back to spirit. And then the bookend of the last Fool is the maturity of answering the call, of the moon, of the intuition, of your feelings. And to me, even though the artist, I'm not sure they meant to do it that way, it looks like a dandelion when the dandelion is in the stage of the wishing stage, that you blow that dandelion and make your wish. My awakening, I woke up in the middle of the night and started singing The Wizard of Oz, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Always loved Wizard of Oz. It was a family tradition. And I'm like, why is this happening? That's not normal for someone to just sit up in their bed and randomly, and I just was belting it out. Thank God I was alone. I might not have had that person there with me any longer, had they been through that crazy experience. But I asked why that was happening. And I heard the word love. Okay, I'm like, okay, love, fine. What about it? And it was learn, love. And I don't think, even though I was, of a mature age, even at that point, there's a difference between falling in love and falling in love with yourself. And we can only meet someone as much as we have loved and met ourselves. And that gazelle is literally leaping into the journey of herself. And I said, well, how do I know? Can you frickin' ring a bell or something for me so I know what this is all about? I tried scrying. I got the name of my niece before she was even born. Nobody knew her name was going to be Nora. And then my sister, like Liz talked about, I was gifted a first deck. And then this deck I almost didn't buy. And the first time I ever used it after I blessed it, I saw that bell because I was joking, like, can you ring a bell or something for me at least? And there she was, ringing the bell. And I love this maturation of the full depiction because she is kicking up her heel. It's like she has conquered. She's stepping on top of that top hat. She knows how to use her intuition. There's gargoyles beside her because those are actually spiritual safekeepers that keep people that are of this journey, that are helping people navigate it, helps keep them safe. And as she's looking down at the suitors of the past and the potential suitors of the future, it's a chessboard. So it is requiring a strategy at this point. And when you're taking that fool's leap, maybe we just jump off that chessboard and start a whole new one. So I think it's a beautiful transition from that first depiction of the Fool. They're bookending each other. It goes from wanderer to traveler. I mean, I'm just kind of swept away in this moment at just the beauty of that. When you're busy putting something together, you don't really sit and have the time to look at it in this way. And I just think it's so beautiful, and it tells the story really all by itself. So that's all I have to say about that.
Angie, I'm hopping in super quick, you guys. 2 things I gotta point out. Did I unmute myself? I love this deck, right? Years with it. I was telling Jen, I have this habit of drawing that as a child, that nautilus, that is part of the thing that I was like, things I know and I just didn't know why. And I never noticed it on that card till now. And then to have you pointed out the story there is amazing, blew me away. But the last thing I want to tell you guys about how you blurt it out when you get these, someone called it psychic Tourette's recently. That's all.
That's great. Well, listen, I wanted just to thank everyone for your very deep and very inspirational stories. And I think sometimes we have to take the fool's journey just to share and be vulnerable about some of the journeys that each of us have taken. So thank you for the insights, and Angie for that really great description of the fool's journey, and actually learning the different interpretations of how people see the fool's journey in the card decks. It's fascinating. Just as a wrap up, wanted just to also thank Dawn for the insights around big dreams. And Dawn talked about how we want to boost our manifestations and using this on our fool's journey and to go where we've never been before. So I think a challenge for all of us, and for you watching this, what kind of journey do you want to take? And are you ready? And do you have the courage to jump when that opportunity comes your way? And I think as these lovely ladies have shared their stories, Spirit always has our back. You cannot go wrong. And so just the art and the science of jumping, just go for it and leap with your heart, not with your head. I also want to thank Jen for just such a wonderful, insightful message from Archangel Michael as well. So we're going to wrap for today, but our closing thoughts would be, it's not a linear journey. It's not an event. And so again, I think there are lots of insights and wisdom for all of us as we move forward through the rest of this month and into the month of June. We also commented at the very beginning, the teaser, that there would be a giveaway. So we are actually going to ask you, as you watch the video, please make your comments, your insights to us, and we will be drawing from those who subscribe to the channel and those who have made comments. And we will be announcing the winner next Friday in our Fun Friday video. So you'll have about a week to watch the video and to make comments. And then we will announce the winner, where we will have a free reading for one of you lucky souls out there. Now, if you want more information on our channel, we do monthly readings such as this, but we also do daily readings, and we rotate those, so they each have a theme every day. So we would encourage you to watch the daily videos as you have time to do so. But we will also put in the description box below information about the spiritual view, how to find us, and if you want a private reading with any one of us, there'll be more information on each of us. And again, we're going to close for our May session. We are in humble gratitude and just so grateful that you were with us today. And we so enjoy being with one another. We found a great soul tribe with Soulful Revolution, as well as the spiritual view. And until next time in June, we bid you farewell and sending lots of love. And it's a wrap. Thank you.